I'm from Detroit, Michigan, Cass Corridor. A mix of people, you know, not just you know, your usual inner city crowd. We had a lot of Chinese, Pakistanians, people from all over around the world. A sizable population of other races, or Native Americans, white people from the Appalachians, mixed with drug users, the down and outs, the hookers, the pimps, all walks of life. And then you had, surrounded by the Wayne State area, which had the intellectual hippie base, which made quite a diverse neighborhood. And I couldn't ask for anything better to have an upbringing in that area, because it taught me a lot about life, taught me about how people can interact, how people can distrust people but also trust people. Yeah, I can only say good things. Yeah, it was a hard living, it was a hard life. It taught me a lot about growing up, so I didn't have that white bread or Wonder Bread world in the suburbs with the picket fences and isolated. You know, my parents totally supported the fact that I should go out and see the world, experience the world, that there's more than life upon your own little reality, and to experience it. So yeah, it was the best thing that, you know, this McMahon could ever wish for. Oh, I'll always be Detroit. Detroit through and through. You know, I had the experience of knowing what's right and what's wrong and how to get out of situations, and that's, you know, that sort of sense. Well, my love for the city first came out here in '92 or something, on my way to Greece. At that time I was married to a Greek girl, Carol, who was a very wonderful lady. You know, I always heard stories about Amsterdam, so I thought, well, on our way, let's have a couple days in Amsterdam. And the minute I got out of Central Station, I jokingly said to her, one day I'm going to live here. And what do you know, back in '99, they sent me out here, my work brought me out here for a couple months to work. And at that time I was also living with a Dutch girl. And yeah, I just fell in love. I just love how people treat each other. There's not a, you know, if you bump into someone, they say sorry. You know, it's not like you have to go grab your gun or hit the deck when someone gets explosive. It's a very diverse city. They know how to treat people. They know how to live life. Where, unlike in the States, your life is to live, not to work. And, you know, so there's a lot less stress around here, even though people are living on top of people on top of people. It's just amazing on how people get along with each other out here. Back in June, I was at a Hellfest, which is in France, a 3-day fucking hell of fine rock event, but it's also got a large punk stage area. And I wanted to see a band I haven't seen yet. It's called Madball. My other friends went to go see Body Count, but I've already seen them a couple times. Hit the pit, you know, like a good old 48-year-old guy from Detroit should do. Someone blindsided me, bruised or broke my ribs. And I knew then, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a sore boy, but I kept on going at it for that day and the rest of that weekend. And then about 3 weeks later, or close to 4 weeks later, I started noticing that my ribs weren't healing like they should. And then also there was some other complications that we thought from a hernia operation early this year, that I might have had blockage. Went through that with that. So about a week later, they started noticing some problems with my liver. And then I thought, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to drink for a year, liver medication, blah, 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 blah. And they did more tests and found out that I had cancer cells in my liver and gallbladder area, but it wasn't coming from there, so they did more tests, and then yeah, I got the bad news, pancreatic cancer, like stage 5 kind of shit. And so they gave me 2.5 weeks to live at the time. So I made amends right there. I knew right then my time was limited, and I made a choice that I could either go out in a depressing way and cry about I'm gonna die, my life is done, or I'm gonna celebrate my life. These are tears of joy, not of sorrow, because it's been, I had a hell of a good fucking 49 years. And I couldn't ask for anything better than the love that I've gotten from everybody around me. I'm Eric McMahon. I've always caused a little bit of not problems, but I always did things my way. My good friends out here in Amsterdam, right when they found out about the news about me just having the cancer, I had 20 people at my hospital 30 minutes later. They usually think a corporation's non-human, but they came through, brought my parents out here, transported them all over the place. Work told me not to worry about a thing. I'm on the books until the day I die. So that took a lot of just the stress from that took it away. I made the decision right there. I was not going to be depressed about this. Life, it's inevitable. It's going to happen, and I'm not going to die depressed. That is my all-time goal of how I'm going to do this. And I had my friends Lota and Maria. They just really stepped up to the base. Maria, who's the biology student and all that other stuff, she explains all the medical terms, the Latin shit that I forgot in high school, and all that crap. Lota's been the sergeant at arms. She makes sure that, she did up a schedule for me. Okay, this is when people can come and visit Eric, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, when I found out, the first persons I called were my mom and dad. They're the persons I was most worried about. They're very frail in health, so frail in health that in a couple days from now I was supposed to fly back to Detroit to sign over power of attorney and all that other stuff. And I knew I was deathly afraid that this would be the nail, especially my mom's coffin, because she's very frail in health. And so that was the hardest part of announcing everything, was to tell my parents. So I wanted to tell my parents first. My very close group of friends already knew. I've always been a person that I know if you don't tell people, people assume things and have rumors, and I didn't want the rumors to go around. So right when I got all that settled out with my close friends and my mom and dad of what my wish is to be, that I do not want people standing over my deathbed for 2.5 months, or whatever my life expectancy will be. I want it to be 2.5 months of party in Vegas doing lines of cocaine off a dead hooker's ass kind of shit. Just to celebrate my life. And then when all that was settled and I was able to come to terms with everything, boy, the love came rolling in. I mean, just left, right, and center. My phone was blowing up so much I had to turn it down. I had to turn it off because people were just calling, and it was because of that love, because of the support, because of all the, if you want to call it prayers or whatever. It gave me the strength to carry on. And it's carried on so much that the hospital realized that, and then decided to do, when they gave me the 2.5 weeks, they said, okay, you know what, you're a good candidate, even though your liver is shut down, we're going to try it one more time. We don't think it's going to work. They told me straight up that if we can get your kidney open, then we can start chemo. And they were surprised. It opened up. They put me on this program, a dignified way to go out instead of being in a hospital surrounded by death. that I can go back home with the pain management. I just go in every once in a while, get bumped up with the chemo, get to take home the chemo pack, and now I'm allowed to not only to go out in a good fashion. I also want to make it emphatically clear that I want my friends to also celebrate this. I don't want them to get depressed because, you know, I could have just packed up everything, moved away, and not told anybody and die in the Himalayas or something, you know. But I want them to celebrate my life as well. But I also want to do, when I leave this world, when I leave to my promised land of, you know, the McMahon, or the McMahon heaven, that I leave them with love as well. I'm hoping my legacy of anything, if I have any kind of legacy, that my love will extend, the love that was given to me will be also passed on to other people. Not only my situation, but to your neighbor next door. You know, I don't mean to get all kumbaya and shit, but, you know, it really warms my heart that, you know, when I have separate group of friends coming around, and I know this group of friends might not like this group of friends, that's why I kind of always kept them separated. You know, last weekend we all met at this bar, and I was totally surprised. I saw two people that I know that don't like each other, hugging each other, you know, loving each other. There was no that, what, remember back then, you kind of asshole thing. No, that is what I want to go out as. I want to go out in that legacy. I was absolutely surprised on the amount. I mean, yeah, I've always been a person to always make friends. You know, better to have friends than enemies. I know I created some enemies, but, you know, hell, fuck it, you know, I'm Eric. But yeah, the amount of people that came out, that have come out so far. I mean, I'm only, what, 2.5 weeks into this. I've had my boys from Detroit, boys from Frisco, people from Ireland, people from, you know, all sick of it all, show up at my house, put me up on stage, you know, and you know, just the amount of people that come by through here. I've actually had to tell my neighbors, hey, this party might be going on for about 2 months, so be prepared, because you're going to see people in and out of my house all day long. And they noticed it too. At the hospital, I mean, there were so many people. I spent most of my time out on the sidewalk with my IV bag, because I had, you know, 20-25 people out there, of course, smoking joints, you know, kind of trippy that, you know, you're in front of the hospital and you got a big group of, if you've seen us and not know us, you'd be thinking, what kind of fucking riffraff came in here, you know, drinking and smoking and, you know, having a good time. I mean, you know, and, you know, I understand some people are taking this a different way than I'm trying to, and I try to bide it, but, you know, I want those people to know, celebrate life. You know, if you ever see someone in my situation again, you know, they might take it a different way. You know, do it their way, but always celebrate life. I wouldn't say if you have an opportunity like mine where you know your time is up, but if you have that option, celebrate it. Don't get depressed about it. You're gonna have that depression. I'm sure, I know, you know, a couple days before I go out, then, you know, all that reality will come in. But I want that to be at that time. During this time, I want everybody that I know, that I've loved and loved me, to celebrate it with me. And yeah, you know, here I am in Amsterdam, halfway across the world, and you know, people are flying from everywhere to come out and see me. I mean, at the drop of the dime, they're just dropping everything to come out and see me. And that, my friend, is what's keeping me alive right now. The chemo is only working because my spirit is up, and even the doctors said that. They were like, you know, go for it. You're the exact reason why we started this program. So, well, yeah, my parents. One thing my parents have always done is taught me to love everybody unconditionally, no matter, you know, from lepers on up. You know, and so that's been instilled on me. I would never be as great as how my parents do it, but, you know, it reflects on how I treated life as well. I've always, you know, for example, at my house, this little house, I've had about 8 different people stay here because, you know, they're in circumstances that they couldn't, you know, that they needed a place to stay, and I freely gave it to them. Like 3 or 4 of them I didn't really know. They're a friend of a friend kind of thing. Those people return, but I did all this without expectations. I just did it because, you know, I'm a human. I've been in that situation, and I remember someone, you know, other people helping me out, and you know, you can call it pay it forward or anything, or something like that. Yeah, so when my parents really, you know, said, always love humankind, you know, there's, you never know what someone's situation is, you know, maybe, you know, especially living in a corridor, you've seen the lowest of the low, but you never knew why they became lowest of the low. And you know, with my parents, with all their, you see, with my dad and mom doing a lot of the youth stuff in the city, especially in the neighborhood, when you reflect about it later, you see these kids that should be in prison, should be doing hard time, but because there was someone that shown some love, because they didn't have a mom or dad, or mom was a hooker, didn't know who dad was, you know, that just that little bit of push of a love gave the kids hope, you know, that there's more than life than you know, knocking off people and stuff like that. So that instilled to me in a different way, because of course, you know, my parents grew up in you know, down in Indiana. For my mom, my dad was Monroe, so they had a little bit of a sheltered lifestyle. That part I didn't. I got to see, you know, I went through life loving people, but with you know, being prepared that I could get fucked over. So it wasn't like I was getting fucked over left, right, and center. But that extended throughout my life. Even when I came out here, you know, I had friends help me when I first moved out here, because Amsterdam is not the easiest town to just walk in and move in. And I always thought to myself, when I get situated, and if someone needs help like that, then I'm gonna do it. My best friend Marie is a prime example. I didn't really know her then. Her friend was a friend of mine, and because of her circumstances and breaking up, and it was a kind of shitty, she needed a place to stay. At the apartment at the time, I had an extra room, and I offered it to her. Since then, she's been my best friend. We've always helped each other out. Right now, she's like my main person. So main that I'm not allowed, I told her I'm not allowed to make decisions without her, because that's how clear-headed, that's how much, you know, that's how much she cares for me. She'll come over here and spend the night, make sure I'm all right. When I tell her, no, go home, you know, you got a life too. Nope, she won't have it. She's, you know, she's right on it. Lota was the same way. She had the same problem. And now her and her man are, you know, they're just really showing me the love. When I gave love out, I never expected it back. And if you want to get scientific with my love theology, you can look at it in monetary terms. If I give love, then I know it's going to come back. Or not that I know it's going to come back, but if it doesn't come back against me, maybe it'll go back against someone else. And then they'll just follow around. If that could just follow around, that's what I'm here for, and now I see it now. I am just absolutely amazed. I mean, amazed on the amount of people that have come out here to visit me, you know, to just say hi. You know, they could just send a note or a card or flowers or something like that, and I would have been happy with that, but no, they came out here. They dropped everything. They, you know, told their boss, I'm not going to be back for a while, my boy is dying. You know, or my brother's dying, you know, my best friend, you know, my ex-lover. Even with my exes, for example, all of them. You know, I got one that's out here that's actually watching my parents, you know, letting them stay with her. She's driving them back and forth. I didn't even ask for it. She insisted on it. I have my ex back from Detroit, Evita. She's going to be coming out here to visit me next week. I mean, we haven't talked in a long time, and we made amends, and she's flying out here with my good friend Carla. My ex-wife, you know, right when she found out, you know, we conversed back and forth, you know, emailed each other. You know, she's got a, you know, husband and kids, but you know, she really made me feel good. I always measure wealth. Yeah, I know it's a cliche, but it especially came to terms when, you know, when I found out my life was going to be limited. I could be owning you know, an empire. That would not matter at all, because what I got is a wealth of friends, and that is the biggest richness a man could ever have, man or woman, I'm sorry, could ever have. Because when I go, I can't take my shit with me. I can't take you know, my TV or computer or whatever worldly things I go with, but what I can take is the love and friendship as my sense of wealth. So, I mean, put me in a hut in the middle of the desert. If I got 200 motherfuckers hanging around that hut, then I'm having a fucking good time. Put me in a mansion in the middle of Beverly Hills and I got a maid, a butler, and a trophy wife, and a bratty ass kid. That ain't gonna be my life. Might have a couple Bentleys, but you know, that's not enjoying life. Enjoying life is being with friends. We're humans, not solitary animals. And a little bit of that is the reason why I'm using one as a safeguard to keep me from getting depressed. So it's not like I'm trying to avoid reality. I know it's there. So I've come clear-cut terms with it, but I try not to deal with it. It's there. But in the same fact, I know my time is limited. So, you know, all those time management courses I've been taking up, you know, through work is now coming into play because, you know, I got limited time. But I'm gonna try to treat every day that I'm living tomorrow, even though I know I'm gonna die pretty soon. And the reason why is because if I treat every day as I'm gonna die tomorrow or pretty soon, then it will put a different aspect of how I want to go out. Yeah, it's my safeguard. I'm not a deep emotional person. If people want to go, hey, let's get in a deep conversation, I tell them, yeah, how's the weather outside? You know, I've taken me 49 years to guard up against this because, you know, I had a lot of traumatic events in my life that made it that I could have dwelled on, and it would have eaten me up inside, and I don't want things to eat me up inside. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not afraid of death. I mean, I faced it. I mean, I should have been dead like 20 years ago, but you know, they should name a movie called Dances with Reapers and shit. So death has not been a stranger to me. Now this one, you know, said nope, it's the last dance with the Reaper. I don't want to die because, yeah, I've had a fucking great ass 49 years and wish I could do more of it. Plus some guys in high school are going to win the bet that I was never going to live past 50. I've already beat a lot of them after doing the 30, you know, so, you know, I'm kind of pissed about that they're, you know, that someone's going to win that bet. It's reality. I can't change it. So, you know, it changes your mind, you know, how you're going to do things in your mind. When you go, I'm going to be dead, you know, in a certain amount of time, you know, I'm dealing with it, but I'm dealing with it by celebrating it. And I believe if I did go down the route of being too scared, then my death will come even quicker. I mean, I could probably do a whole bunch of other things to try to prolong my life, maybe a year. But it'll be a year of excruciating pain, you know, stripping my body of everything, and I don't want to go through that. If I can go through a couple months of, you know, of a great time versus a year of having a shitty time, yeah, I'm going to take the couple months. And I know the big reality will probably hit me in the last, you know, moments of my life. You know, I'm not saying seconds, but, you know, I'm sure that my body will do the complete shutdown in the last 2 weeks where I am going to be not moving around while people are doing shots and I'm doing my shots of morphine with them, that, you know, I won't be able to do that. And then probably reality will set it, the emotional reality will set in, but I want to wait for that till that happens. And that's where my whole thing of being able to block out bad elements to not eat me up inside. I deal with it, and I know it's going to be there, so I just put it off to a shelf and say, well, when that time comes, then I'll deal with it then. But right now, I'm going out in a bang, because like how I said before, it's not just me that I'm worried about, but my friends as well. Yeah, to all my bros and hoes in motherfucking Detroit, you taught me well, you taught me to be tough, you taught me to be me, and yeah, I wouldn't be me with my upbringing from the fucking baddest ass city in the world, the motherfucking Funky D. I wish all of you a good time, celebrate, stop shooting people, stop getting in shit, fucking, yeah, all that other stuff, man. Love people, man. Love, go up and, what I want you to do, go up to your enemy, hug that motherfucker and say, I love you. And if everybody keeps on doing that, I bet you in no time you'll realize life is a good thing and you can change the world with just that, you know, just that word, just doing that action. You know, love everybody. Don't be afraid.